What up, world? CA Pate back at you with another video. Today's video, we are going to go back to one of my videos that I did, revisit one of my videos that I did a couple of weeks back, and I think about 2 months back on another one, and it is a gambling video. It seems like that gambling video content, I could start another separate channel just on gambling, but I'm just gonna, every once in a while, I've committed to once a month, I'm gonna do some type of gambling video. So today's video is not gonna tell you, like my other videos, the top 10 signs to know if you're a gambler. This one's just gonna be a straight story. It's a story about a girl named Kai. In my gambling travels, I meet a lot of people at the casino. So when I sit down at different tables, I meet different people at the casino, right? Some of these people are weirdos, right? So I play the game Baccarat. Some of you guys play blackjack, you play the slot machines. When you're playing Baccarat, a lot of times, you may have only intended to be in there for 1 hour. You're gambling, next thing you know, you get down at 500 or you get down $1,000, and then you're there. You find yourself trying to get back and you're there the rest of the night. It happens all the time. This girl, Kai, I met her at one of the casinos. I'm not gonna say which casino in Indiana I originally met her at, but she normally played at a casino in Illinois, but I originally met her at a casino in Indiana. Kai was a beautiful, when I say absolute gorgeous, beautiful 24-year-old. Her mom was Asian, her dad was black. This girl, she was gorgeous. She had beautiful eyes. She looked Asian, but she had a darker, obviously, skin complexion, and she had the black girl curves, a few of the black girl curves, if you want to say that in that way. This was a gorgeous young lady when I first originally met her. She had only been gambling for 2 years at the time that I met her. She had only been gambling for 2 years. I became friends with her, and I would see her at the casino because when I would go, every day at one point because of my addictive personality, I would see her all the time at the casino. All the time. At times, it felt like she was following me. Every time I was at the casino, she showed up at the casino, or she was already at the casino. Sometimes I would show up to the casino, Kai was already down. She's only been there 30 minutes. She's already down $3,000. So then, she called me at one point like her lucky charm, because when I showed up a lot of times, I would like tell her to take a break, or I would give her some good, knowledge on what she should do next in her gambling for that night. Sometimes I would try to talk her into leaving. She never listened to me on that, except for if she was winning big. There was a couple of times she did listen to me and she did leave. The story I'm gonna tell you is just a path of destruction that could have been avoided. But again, it just tells you how severe this gambling addiction can be for people. Kai had a very loving family. Her mother and dad, they were still together. She lived in the home with them. Kai worked in some type of nail salon or something. And she did really well overall. She said she made quite a bit of money being, a person that did nails and feet and the whole nine, right? And she also said that they did massages at this particular nail salon. So she was kind of like a masseuse. That's what I said, or something. She was kind of a masseuse, and she did nails. So she said she did pretty well. She didn't have any bills at home. She still stayed at home with the parents, so they paid the bills. She had a nice car. She paid her own car note, and so on and so forth. Kai went down a really bad path of destruction. So she started off gambling. When I met her, she had only been gambling 2 years. She was one of those ones where she was up, she was down, she was up, she was down. The first night that I met her, she made about $5,500 at the casino playing Baccarat, right? Over the next 6 months after that, I saw this girl win quite a bit. She was, she seemed, and that's what she started calling me like her lucky charm. So some nights I was there, I saw her win $10,000 one night. Another night I saw her win $12,000. She, when I first met her, compared to maybe 2 or 3 years later, when I first met her, she was betting about $125 a hand. So she was usually betting about 100 on her bet, and then the rest of the 25 would go on different dragons and whatever else she was trying to bet, ties. After like year 3, her bets like went up to like 5 to 1,000 a hand. They weren't lower than that. So, when you're at the casino sometimes and you're sitting at the table, I don't know how many of you guys can know that this story is true. You see people losing money and they just keep pulling money out of their purse and their wallet. And you're like, what in the hell does this person do for a living? How do they keep pulling all this money out of their pocket, out of their wallet? What in the hell? It's like their purse is an ATM. They don't have to go to the ATM. It's like they brought $20,000, $40,000 with them. So, Kai's winning. So after about 6 months, 7 months, right in there, Kai went on a little bit of a losing streak. And what I noticed is when I first saw her, she was just like this gorgeous girl that seemed like really, really clean in the whole nine. And she kind of went from being like, she wasn't well kept anymore. Most days she showed up at the casino looking like an unmade bed. Right. So I'm like, damn, she used to have her lipstick on the whole nine. It just seemed like she stopped caring about herself. And what I found out was she was just spending so much time at the casino. So during that period of time, my casino habits were still okay, for the most part. So let's say if I went in at 5 o'clock, 5:30 or whatever, I was still able to get up and get out of there by 8. Hopefully I won, or even if I didn't, sometimes I did have the self-control to just get out of there. She would stay all night. Even if she was winning, she wouldn't win and get up. She used to do that. Then at some point she just stopped, just like the rest of us do. So it was one week on a Monday. I gambled with her at an Illinois casino. And she's like, oh, you're here today? I'm like, yeah, I'm here today. The rest of the week, I'm probably going to go over to Horseshoe, which is another casino in Indiana. I'm probably going to be there the rest of the week, and then I'll come back to this other Illinois casino on Saturday. So on Monday, I sat there and we're playing. I saw her lose like $8,000. So that was on Monday. Tuesday, she lost like another 10 when we were at Horseshoe. Wednesday, she lost like another 15,000 trying to make up for the other 2 days. And I'm just sitting there like, where's this girl getting all this damn money from? Thursday come, I see her lose in a couple hours like $1,500. But it seems like that was the end of the line, as far as I think she had spent all the money that she had. So I think this is late on a Friday. She was supposed to be at work on Saturday or whatever it was. She didn't go to work on Saturday. And I had a bad night too. So I damn near stayed there like the whole night one night at the casino in Indiana. I basically stayed there like the whole night because I was down like maybe $3,000. She was down however thousands of dollars or whatever for the week. So we ate for a second at one of the little bistros or whatever it is in the casino, and we were at the table. We're still trying to get back, and we're constantly talking, and I'm learning a little bit more about her. So now at this point, I've been gambling with her for like whatever 8 months, and she starts talking to me about how bad gambling, like, oh, we always lose, like this is so bad, why we're so stupid, why did we come here? So she started telling me all the things that she had sacrificed in order to gamble. So her parents had kicked her out of the house, so she had to stay with some friends because she figured out how to do a passcode on her dad's credit card. So she knew where he kept his credit cards at in the house or something like that. She figured out how to do a code on the card to get cash off the card. So she had got like $9,000, almost, it was close to 10,000 or something, she said, over the period of time off of his credit card without him noticing. So when the statements would show up at the house somehow, she pretty much got the statements or whatever it was. And again, I met her back in 2014. And she said that she had been getting all this money off his credit cards and she couldn't get any more. So then she got caught on it, right? So she got in trouble or whatever. She got caught for that. He figured out that it was, that something happened and it was her that did it in the whole nine. So and then I guess she had stole some other things out of the house that she decided to take to the pawn shop and sell. So at some point, her parents, they were done with her. So I guess this is over a period of time. So one thing led to another thing, led to another thing, and she just kept having, different problems overall. And it was all of it was just all her own fault, making these different mistakes overall. So with that being said, she's trying to figure out what the next step is in life for her, what's next that she needs to do. They kick her out of the house. She has to go live with a friend. They want her to go to some type of counselor or psychiatrist or something, so they can talk about what's going on with her situation. Why are you stealing from the family? Why are you doing things that, are hurting us and are hurting you? Why are you hurting yourself in this way? They're trying to help her. She turns her back on them, even though, they love her and she's done wrong to them. But they're like, hey, you know what? This is still, our kid. We're going to try to stick by her. Next thing you know, she starts stealing from the person who she went to go live with, which is a friend of hers. And she started stealing from that person and doing different things. And then she got kicked out from that person's place. So she did build up some, positive equity at the casino. So sometimes some of the pit bosses and different things, she could get rooms from them to stay at the casino. All of this, it always goes wrong at the casino, right? So then her car was paid off. She had worked for like the last 5 years or whatever, and she had paid her car off. Just to get more money to come back to the casino and gamble, she sold her car. She sold the vehicle. She sells the vehicle, gets the money, brings it to the casino. She said off her vehicle she had made like $15,000. That $15,000 lasted her about 10 days. So she basically lost her vehicle within 10 days of gambling. She lost the $15,000, and she had been taking, different taxi services or what have you to try to get to the casino and riding with other people. So now by this time she has my number. I live like 12 miles from her, but if I'm close or if I'm going to the local Illinois casino or something like that, she's asking for a ride. She's asking others for rides. It's just starting to get bad, right? So now, one night I'm just chilling at the casino with her. She has a little bit of money or whatever. She gets down like $4,000. Something's not right with her this night. Like something's really off with her. She's not as talkative. And I'm one of her friends, and she was sitting at the table with another female that's a good friend of hers. And we're just kind of looking at each other like, what's going on with her? So she was just very angry if she lost a hand, and she's just cursing and going off at the casino and like, hey, you MFers are always taking my money and this and that. I'm like, yo, it ain't them, it's us. Why do we keep coming here? You're putting your money up there to gamble. It isn't them. So about 3 a.m, this one guy sits down. He starts flirting with her, right? He's very attracted to her. And again, she's still looking in that unkept manner. She doesn't look like she looked when I first met her, but she's still a hottie. She still looks good. She just doesn't look as good as she did. So this guy, he sits down and he starts playing baccarat with us, and he's betting heavy. This dude's betting like $4,000 or $5,000 a hand. He loses like a hand, then he wins 4 or 5 hands in a row, then he loses one hand, then he loses 5. So he's not consistently losing 2 hands in a row at all. He'll lose one and then he'll win 3 or 4. He's flirting with her. She's down. He decides to give her like $100. He gives her the $100, and she puts it up and she does win the bet. So now she has like $200. Right? So then she goes all in on the $200, and then she loses that next hand. So then he gives her another $100. So I'm like, okay, sometimes that happens. Sometimes I've been in those situations where people are begging me not to leave the table. They think I'm lucky or something, even though I've lost. And they're like, hey, keep playing with me or whatever. I'm like, man, I'm out of money. I'm not going back to the ATM. And they'll just throw you $100 or something like that. I've also been at the table where somebody will win big. They'll win a hand of 15 grand or something like that, and they'll throw everybody that's playing at the table with them $100. They just won 15 grand, so to just throw everybody $100 isn't that big of a deal. Then they'll tip the dealer $100. Not that big of a deal. So the next thing they do, as we're sitting there, they start whispering back and forth together or whatever, right? So they start kind of whispering a little bit, and I don't know what the hell is going on or whatever, But he tells them to save his spot, and him and her get up and they leave off. So the dealer that we're playing with is a dealer that I've been playing with at the time for like, you know, a little minute. Like me and him are pretty cool. I've tipped him a ton. Like we got a pretty decent friendship. So he's like, uh-oh, she's going to go do something strange for some change. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's just like, yeah, man, your girl Kai is out there, bro. She's basically lost everything. You know, she said her parent, he knew her very well too. She spoke to him about some of her problems. He's like, man, she's starting to trick off, bro. So, and he's a white guy, he's a white dealer, but he has like that he's kind of cool, kind of acts black in a certain way or whatever, kind of even talks black, even though he's a white guy. And he's like, yeah, man, so she's been basically tricking with some of the people around here to just get through. I might say, what? What are you talking about? So I'm just in disbelief, like, hey, this guy has to be lying, right? So she comes back to the table maybe about 45 minutes later, right? She sits down at the table. The guy comes back. He sits down at the table. My man threw her $1,000. He threw her $1,000 in chips. Now I think he originally bought in for like maybe 10 grand or something like that, and he's been winning. He threw her $1,000 in chips. Like it was not. He just like right in one shot. He just gave her $1,000 in chips, and she started back playing. I'm like, hey, what in the hell is going on? So within like over a month or so, I saw something similar to this made with her like 2 other times. So one night we're playing late night and she's down like maybe 20 grand, 19 or 20,000. I don't know where she got it from, but she's down it. So I'm at the table with her and I'm be honest, I was down probably about 5,000 and I'm like, damn, but I knew I could get the money back. I just needed to take my time. I needed to take a break. So me and her are just talking and I'm like, hey Kai, man, I'm starting to, hey, I'm worried about you, man. You know, I mean, well, like I'm a good dude. Like I don't like talk shit about anybody or anything like that. Hey, something ain't right with you, man. And some of the stuff that I'm hearing, it don't sound right. And she was like, yeah, I've been kind of doing some things that, you know, I thought would never be in my character or whatever, but I've been doing some things or whatever. And I'm like, so now by this time she's been drinking and everything. So she's a little tipsy and, you know, this is the reason sort of why I'm approaching her and this and that. She's willing to open up and talk. She's ready. It's just like I became her therapist in that moment and she's talking to me and she's saying, you know, hey Byron, I've been out here just doing all types of stuff. She's like, it was just one night, this guy offered me some money for sex and he really, really wanted me really, really bad. He was in from out of town, this married guy. He offered me $2,500. You know, hey, I did it. I'm like, oh, wow. Wow. She's like, I had never done anything like that, but it was kind of, you know, an exhilarating feeling that somebody was willing to pay me that. And then, you know, once she has an addictive personality as well, just like me, she's like, once I did that, it was over. I just kept doing. I thought I was going to stop after that night. I just didn't. So anytime that I was in a bind and I needed money or whatever, it felt like I can get it out of the casino because somebody's going to flirt with me or whatever. And when they flirt with me, I'm like, hey, baby. And then we get to talking and the guys, they always want to have sex. So I'm like, hey, I'm broke. I need help. I'm willing to help you out if you help me out. So she's saying that some of these guys are just taking her to the parking lot and bending her over in the passenger seat. And then she's like, in other situations and cases, they have a room at the hotel and they're taking her to the room and they're having sex with her. So she said, obviously, she was kicked out of her parents' house. She was kicked out of her good friend's house that she stayed with because she got caught stealing from her friend. So she said that she also started messing around with one of the pit bosses at the casino, and he would comp rooms for her. He would get rooms for her, you know, sometimes even in other people's names that had been playing the whole night, but he knew they weren't going to stay there. Somehow, some way, he was getting rooms for her, and all she had to do was, you know, go down on him, you know, give him some top, basically, as some people would say, you know, a couple of times a week, and he was fine with that. So she's like, hey, because of him, she said she had lost her job. She would be just at the casino, just gambling all the time. So the place that she worked at, they got tired of her. They didn't want to work in there anymore. So Things just got very evil and dangerous for her overall. She didn't exactly know what the next step, what the next thing that she was supposed to do overall. She wasn't sure. So I'm like, man, you need to probably go back and talk to your parents, was one of my um, pieces of advice to her. Like, go talk to your parents, go talk to a pastor, go get back in the church. Like, I'm giving her all the things that people would say, because now I'm really worried about her, because she's saying, hey, basically, I'm having sex for money now, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week. She was like, one week I did it all 7 days, where I just kept losing. She's like, and it's the unluckiest money. And I go make this money, I come back to the table, and the money is just terrible. I'm not making it. Like, it's unlucky money. I lose it right away. Hey, it's been times I've made $2,000 off a guy. I come back to the table and I lose it in 3 hands. And then I'm feeling terrible about myself or whatever. And I might go back to that same guy because he's playing at the same table or another table, and he won't give me any more money. So this girl had major problems. I told her she needed to do much better. But, obviously the next time I saw her, she was telling me she realized that she had told me that story. So she didn't want me to judge her. So she was apologizing like, man, I was tipsy that night and this and this and that. I'm a decent guy. I ain't take advantage of the girl or anything like that. I would never do that. All I did was give her good, solid, sound advice on what she should do. So craziest thing is, one night I'm at the table. I see her. We get to playing. This one dude that I know really, really well. I'm super tight with this dude. I didn't realize, and she knows him too. He plays at the Indiana and the Illinois casinos. I didn't realize that she had given him, like, I guess, some head before or something, right? We're at the table. She losing. She's sitting in between me and him. And he's at the end to the far left on the end. She's the next seat over. I'm the next seat over from there, right? She's losing. He decides, he gonna help her out. He gonna give her some money, right? So they start whispering back and forth to each other. Something happened where there was an agreement that was struck, right? He gives her like $200 in chips. This particular day, she had like a little dress thing on, like a little skirt dress thing on, right? I didn't know it at the time until he explained it to me a little bit, like that same night. Just the nastiest thing ever. She looked at this time completely unkept. This girl, it didn't even look like she was showering a lot of times. Like, kind of started to look really, really bad. My man asked her to let him finger her under the table while we're playing at the table, and she said okay. With all these cameras and everything else in there, this girl got real close to him and let this man stick his finger inside of her. Now, when I go and I'm like, hey, I'll be back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom or whatever. During this time, he decides he wants to go to the bathroom too. He's like, hey, B, wait up or whatever. We go to the bathroom. On the way to the bathroom, I'm like, hey, were you guys over there doing what I think you were doing? He was like, yeah, man, I was fingering her. It was really turning me on that everybody's at the table gambling and betting and nobody understands what we're doing and this and that. It was kind of exciting. I just wanted that moment. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, she's a whore though. I don't mind getting, blowjobs from her or fingering her, but I don't want to have sex with her or whatever the case may be. And my guy, he's married. So this fool's like, he's playing with me. He's playing around with me because we joke around a lot. We've known each other for some years now. So he's playing around with me, and this fool is going to take this finger that he done fingered her with, as I'm not paying attention, I'm looking at something else, and he's going to try to put it by my nose so I can sniff it. Now, people, he did get me because I kind of turned into it, and I did get a whiff of it. It smelled terrible. Hey, this thing smelled like the worst fish market that you could ever go to. This man, I don't know what was going on with her. She must have had some type of infection or something going on, or she hadn't showered in weeks or something. It smelled terrible. It smelled like hot garbage. Now, this is what's crazy about it. This fool, he's so nasty. He's smelling it and it's turning him on in some way. I'm like, hey, my dude, what is going on? What's going on with you? He's just like, yeah, I like it when it got a little smell to it. I'm like, bro, that's not a little smell. And that's not a natural smell. Hey, that's funk. He's just like, nah, that's turning me on. It's cool, man. So I'm like, hey, if that's the case, you might as well mess around with her the full way. Like, I'm so confused. We go in the bathroom, use the bathroom, this and that. My man barely wants to wash his hands. He wants this scent to stay on him. He's like, man, it's like a lucky scent, bro. He's like, ever since I did that, you notice I'm not losing no hands? I think it's because as I touch the chips and put it up there, I think this is like lucky for me. I think she has some type of luck. I was done with the conversation. I don't want to talk anymore. So that's my story about my girl Kai. I don't have an end story to it. I still, when I go to the casino, I see her still gambling. To my understanding, she's still doing the same stuff. She's still tricking off. And this is what gambling can do to you. You lose everything. She basically, her parents disowned her. Her friend, she stole from her friend. Her friend disowned her. She starts tricking off. She sold her car. She lost her job. Come on, man. Look at all of that. And that was just literally all of a 10-month period of time. In a 10-month period of time, this girl had only been gambling for like 2 years. In a 10-month period of time of me knowing her back in 2014, she stole from her parents a bunch of times. They finally disowned her. Right? She moved in with one of her close friends. She stole from that person. That person put her out. She's still trying to gamble. She sold her car. The profits of it were $15,000 that she got for the car. She lost that in 10 days. Now she starts tricking off with guys in the casino just to get money to gamble. She don't care about nothing else. She's just trying to eat a little bit and gamble. Then she's sleeping with one of the pit bosses or whatever just to have a place to sleep at night. So she's either basically staying in the casino all night, gambling, or she's getting a room and she got to trick off with a pit boss just to get a room to sleep in. These are the dangers of gambling. So I know this is a long video, hopefully you guys are still with me here at the end. I know this is a crazy story. I got a bunch of these. I'm going to see how this video does to, tell you guys about some of the rest of the videos. I got so many Kai stories. Even after that, I just don't even want this video to be an hour, but I probably got about 20 different Kai stories, like me walking out the casino and I see her with her legs up and she's moaning or whatever, and some guy's drilling her or whatever. I have so many Kai stories where I'm just like, listen, this is crazy. Like, Kai got some real problems. So, if you like the content, who knows? I doubt this is going to get a ton of views because they usually don't when I, go off the path that I normally talk about, which is Corvette content and motorcycle content. But if you like this, please subscribe to the channel. This is your boy C.A. Pate, and I'm out.